What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Lab podcast. Coach A here with
Coach Gards.
And we've got a bit of a unique one in that we're getting outside the sport. And I was excited about this for two reasons when Shane brought it up. First, because I think there's going to be a ton of parallels. That's my guess, but we'll find out. And then secondly, because footy's becoming probably our second most popular sport in terms of athletes that we train. So Ontario's got the OPDL development system. And we're getting tons of girls and boys coming in through that. So I'm quite excited for today. So Saul, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's a privilege to be here.
You're branded. So why don't you share a little bit about you, what you do, and then we'll dig in.
I'm an individual skills specialist, individual coach really. I've been coaching for over 20 years. Spent 10 years in academy football at Chelsea and Tottenham, very much again as a skills specialist. And all the time I was working as a one-to-one coach. Stepped out of academy football to focus on my one-to-one business and also my app, my personal football coach, is like online training at home. And now I work one-to-one with a lot of Premier League players. I consult with academies. I've done stuff with Arsenal. I'm doing stuff with Brighton at the moment to support them with their individual program, basically.
Got it. And then...
So cool. It is. It is.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is.
Cool.
What was your journey? Like, you played as a kid, obviously, coming up?
You played, didn't make it pro, went to uni, coached the uni, played and then coached the uni team, really.
Okay.
And then sort of went into coaching straight after that.
Got it.
Quite early, so I've been fortunate to do like 20 odd years.
Were you thinking about it when you were playing? Like, I think I'm going to coach and stay in the game after? Or did it...
You know what, it's funny, I didn't really think it was possible to have like a career in coaching. And so I went to America after university, after college, did the camps and stuff, which we did. And then I really enjoyed it. Did 2 years there. Went home to do my teacher training, and get work part-time coaching. But I never thought it was a realistic career. And then obviously got the break opportunity at Tottenham, worked my way up, did quite well. And then obviously Chelsea, and within that started my business. So I've been quite fortunate.
Yeah, I don't know if it's maybe the finishing question, but like, what's your favorite part about it? Like, I'm sure like we could have asked that at the end, but what's your favorite part about the coaching part?
I think the diversity in what you do in the deliveries. One morning I'm on the pitch with a Premier League player, one morning I'm on the pitch with like an under 9 academy player, sometimes doing stuff in clubs, consultancy. I've been traveling around North America, working with clubs and associations. So it's nice. I get a lot of difference, in terms of what I'm doing. It's nice to work with top players and aspiring players as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's cool. And I think, like you said, it's getting so big here. It's been big, but now with the World Cup coming, and it's almost like kids follow like what they see on TV, right? So now we're going to see a lot of World Cup. We're going to see a lot about, the Team Canada. And so more kids will dive into that sport. Obviously, we have a diverse, Toronto's very diverse. So we get a lot of people in Ontario that are playing it. But like, it's such I was never good at it. And like I said, when I first went to Switzerland, I watched some of these hockey players that were unbelievable at footy. We would play 2-touch all the time before games. Like, right. You see everybody now, right?
Yeah.
And I was awful. They just picked me out of the pile, right? Like, in 2 left feet, I'd always say. I was just awful. But these guys were great. And some of the guys, like, were not in great hockey shape, but could they play footy? Like, they would. And then,
efficient. They were efficient.
Well,
down the pitch.
It's just great. It was the skill. Like, and then fortunate enough to go to a bunch of these, Milan derbies, and we went to see, Lazio play one time in Inter Milan, and just like the pressure these kids play under, I think that's cool. So I'll let you continue, but so you're diving into obviously the skill part about it. Do you do a lot about? Do you just work on? What's the main focus if you say like one skill that every football player has to be able to do?
My methodology is focused around the 1v1 duel. So really, like me v you, and that can look different in lots of scenarios. It might be me facing you, maybe you're behind me and I'm protecting the ball, or maybe you're to the side. So break down the 1v1 duel into those game. Try and break it down to micro examples of the game. And try and look at that skill. So for me, every skill in the game is related to that opposition. Obviously, we practice it. So how I can be successful, and then also how can I play forward. So even when I'm working on the technical work, the ball mastery and the ball familiarity, which we'll do a lot of, that's all based again around that situation.
Try to link it. Winning a one-on-one or beating a one-on-one?
Or winning one, it might be defending or attacking, but mainly in possession. So we talk about the 3 R's, being able to receive, retain and release. So that's the key thing, to receive the ball, stay on the ball.
Hardest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly. And then play forward. And so those refocuses on that. So then when, these, the Premier League guys come to me, so like Semenyo, who's just gone to Man City, I know, I haven't worked with him, he's, had a lot of press. He comes to me, right, what's his position? He's an attacking wide player, like a winger, similar in hockey.
Yeah.
So then what are the game-changing moments of his position? right, let's really hone down on those and work on those really. And it's about, breaking lines, beating defenders and shots and
so
goal.
you put him into the situations he's going to be in the game.
Yeah.
You're not going to train him for something that probably won't touch.
And that's the key for me. And that's what my specialism is. That's why these guys come to me, because they say, they see the pictures, and that's the key. They see the picture in the session of the game. So you're preparing them for the game. And, lots of these guys will score goals. And we've worked on that particular thing. So I assume it's the same with you guys, when we isolate it, it's really important to contextualize it. So, in the right positions, the right areas of the pitch, the right skills, the right techniques, the right types of finishes, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we think about like technical, tactical, right? So do you have like the basic technical skills? Can you, in hockey, stick, handle, pass, shoot?
Yeah.
But then it's like, can you be in the correct position to actually execute on it? Like that's tactical knowledge and execution.
Yeah, I think, basic tactical elements in terms of, like say, receiving the ball, moving on the ball, being able to distribute the ball. Yeah. And then a lot of my work is around individual tactics. So we look at those situations. All right, the defenders, for example, on the edge of the box, he's majority of the time going to show me outside. Then how do we, work on that, and try and manufacture a situation where we can, dictate what's going to happen and, and make it successful, basically.
And we talk a lot about, and lately I've seen this with a lot of young kids that I've been working on and watching their videos, like they get, we say dots, they get out of the dots and they like to play outside the dots, and so there's a lot of possession, but we're really not getting anything done because it's very hard to score goals from outside. And I think it's the same on the soccer pitch. It's like the ball has to come inside. But when you're working with your one-on-ones with those guys, I think is it twofold where you're trying to get them to get inside, or you're just trying to get them to deliver the ball inside? It's got to be both, right?
Yeah, it's got to be both. For example, that example I use, if you're a wide player, you're going to be judged on goals and assists. So it's either going to be shots and finishing in and around the box, or trying to deliver the ball into the boxes normally.
Or scoring.
Yeah, cross or pass, or in the box crosses. We talk about that a lot. So yes, and then what does that normally look like for him or her? And then can we create situations where they understand, right, in this situation, this is going to be the best opportunity to try and be successful.
Right. And so it's almost like playing chess. You see something pops up and it's there. You've seen this before because you've trained it.
Yeah. I think it's similar. I really like North American sports in terms of what I see like guys like you do in terms of the training, because I think, you like to break it down. And when I watch you guys, people train, I don't want to be too, be too generalized here, but generally I see that really break those down, those isolate those smaller things, so when you go back into the game situation, obviously it sort of takes care of itself.
So I think the one thing though that we don't talk about is like, is this happen with you guys, is like you could have the greatest skill and deliveries and shot and ability, but is there a secondary king to footy? Like is there an intensity? Is there a compete? Is there a fight? Is that all there too, as well as like if that guy doesn't have it, we can train as much as you want?
Yeah, I mean, you need to have that mentality. Yeah, and we talk about a lot. I mean, we had a conversation quite a lot recently in terms of really young players. That not every young player will have that. Most players don't, right? I think Shane was talking about Connor David, and his his mindset. Players don't, but what you need to do, young players, you try and coach that into them as well. Understanding that you work harder away from the game, you're going to get better, and that's a transferable life skill anyway. So you try and do that. That's another thing you're trying to build. Come on, you work hard here, and have those associations, and then hopefully then they, that becomes.
So is that how you would do? How would you teach that in that sense to a younger footballer?
Well, I think it's just I think you set the tone in your sessions.
Okay.
And like tempo, intensity, everything I do is in terms of tempo, intensity. You're working hard, you're driving hard, you're battling. It's competition. You're winning, you're losing. How you're going to deal with that. You work with that adversity anyway. It's natural, like anything in life. And like we say in England, you put it on them. I get into them. You make it a bit tough. You challenge them. Do tweak up. If you're in an elite environment, academy environment, it's tough. It's hard work. That boy's better than you. Then they're going to take your contract. If you're working in grassroots, and obviously it's a little bit more fluffy, and
Yeah.
But if you're talking about someone who wants to be, and he's talking about the best of the best, these academies, and they want to aspire to go all the way, it's very difficult, 0.0%. You got to make them understand that this is a journey, and it is hard work and it is tough. Otherwise, there's no point being there, is there?
Have you seen transition over the last 20 years? Like we talk about a lot with youth athletics. I imagine it's the same, like just in terms of the stakes are so much higher, or they seem so much higher on the kids.
I think when I started 20 years ago, it was still pretty intense.
Yeah.
But I think more people are coming to the game. More parents are getting a little bit too excited sometimes, because in every sport they can try and live things through their kids. And then that's the other thing, are you doing it are you doing it for the kid? Are you doing it for yourself? That sort of thing. And there's lots of other issues.
Well, I think football over there was
that's what I was about to say. It's been an
20 years
culture for so long.
Yeah, it's been established, and it's such a huge thing. But do you see? Since you started, is there a huge skill change?
I think, listen, it's is there skill change? I think the players definitely got better, and generally we were at a deficit when I first started. I think technically we weren't producing players, but we've got now the coach education system has gone really over in England and also in America, really more to like game-based group activities, and as a result of that, there's much more focus on group possession rather than individual possession. So, for example, in the English education system, there's zero technical input now for coaches. So in terms of how to teach technique, they've gone into like an ecological approach where they want players to go, find their own way and be a bit more guided, a bit more games the teacher, basically.
Okay.
Which, listen, majority of my sessions will always be games, but then, I feel there's not enough coaching going on and the players aren't being helped enough, especially in an elite environment or a beginner. You should know when and where to step in. As any sport, any ball-based sport or invasion game, like hockey with a puck, you see, there are ways to, strike the ball better,
Correct.
strike the ball thing biomechanically, for example.
Right.
But unfortunately, we've swung so far the other way. We've gone into a bit of a crazy situation, which is good for me because then clubs come to me and say, look, Saul, our kids are really good at group possession and passing and being a team, but we want more individuality, more creativity, and that's what I sort of bring to the table.
And so the creativity is what we would say you'd probably learn on your own, but now they're saying, okay, well, you're going to learn it on your own, but maybe they're not as good. So now they've gone into a team base where like this group can control the ball as well as they can. Right?
Well, I think conventional coaching is just, here's our team. Let's move the ball well effectively as a team and try and win it rather than saying, ask most people who their favourite footballer was. You mentioned Thierry Henry before we went on. These guys have that individual brilliance, that individual that thing, that's that creativity that they can turn on and off. Now, there's a myth around these things that these are like something, like tricks or otherworldly. Yeah. These are skills like any other skills in the game. Being able to beat a defender, shift him, unbalance him, go both ways, shooting. And for some reason, we don't coach it now. There's zero coaching, so it's completely frustrating. But it's
so everybody's sort of become the same player.
Homogenous. Yeah, well, there's not like for example, if you're a player who doesn't can't use your weak foot, it's like, well, there's no help. You got to go and do that yourself. Or or for example, if I'm a central midfielder, and I'm on the ball and I can't move forward, I can't break that line. Well, I'm not going to help you. You got to figure it out yourself. Where actually we can say, well, here's some strategies that you see at the highest level, some basic movements which you can unmat and then do. And that's why I can't get my head around why we're not coaching that, because these are the game-changing moments and these are the things that the best players in the world have and all the fans like to watch as well.
Well, you talked about this a little bit, right? Like we need a finish coach, like just like a different approach to practice, right?
Yeah, I think football is a cool thing where like if we were going to take sports and you got I think you have basketball. Let's take basketball because there's a huge bunch of individual skill. Maybe what you're talking about the Thierry Henrys of the world. We got the LeBron James, the Michael Jordans of the world. Where you can say if I have a good team, I'll still win, but those guys can win games out on their own, right? Where I think with football, is a mixture of where your team better be really good still, but you still need that guy. Like he's the game breaker, or it's the one time the ball comes to him, it's in the back of the net. Like, I mean, I remember watching in Inter Ronaldo, like I know there's like 17 Ronaldos, but the first one,
the original
one, like he was
the best one, I think.
Yes, the best one. Like, I mean, that's what bows me to the sport is like, that's why the sport is so beautiful to watch. It's like the skill, the explosiveness, the just like, I think it's better live. Obviously, I think you just you see the ball spin. It's coming across and it's spinning, and 70,000 people are screaming, and this guy takes it with his foot, and it's like a one little touch. And so you're saying that individual skill's kind of been lost right now, and you're trying to.
Some players have it, some players don't. But unfortunately, if you do have it, congratulations. If you don't, we'll see later. Someone's like, well, you're tough. So
they're quitting on him.
Well, not quitting on him. They're just not. They're saying it's not important. They'll learn. They should learn themselves or pick up themselves. I'm just like, well, this is what coaching / teaching is. It's about scaffolding learning and accelerating. We'll try that little tweak, and even with some of the Premier League players I work with, and we'll try just a different movement, rotate your hips. And they do. So it's a bit of a bizarre situation.
Even the pros right now haven't had that touch.
Well, no, I think that's a bit different now, because when I deal with the pros, this is a different situation where there's obviously not enough time in the week maybe for these guys. There's lots of games. that's teams ace because they've got to work. It's very tactical.
Yeah.
So these guys maybe aren't getting the chance to practice those game-changing moments which they're employed, on these big concerts to do, which is ironic. But I mean, then again, there's just simply not the time of the week or
how many
logistics.
Games is like a Premier Club playing right now, like on average? Like
yeah, well, there's like 38 games in the Premier League, but then they play the cups. And the thing.
Yeah,
a couple of games a week normally.
Yeah,
it's 3 games a week. It's a big loading.
Yeah.
So I mean,
plus
the
travel.
question is where you fit it in. But then of course, then there's just not enough time in the week. Then maybe they'll do. Say, all right, they do 10 minutes at the end of a session extras, but then there's like 7 or 8 players, different positions. Is it really focusing on the profile of each player? And they can't. And, they're maybe not getting repetition, so that's a different
I think it goes to what we've talked about the development, right? It's becoming so like junior hockey is becoming where you need these kids to develop. It becomes more of a winning. Is that what you think that's happening? Is it like the academies and it's more about winning?
England's quite unique because the academy system don't play competitive games.
Oh, really?
Until we get to 16. It's friendlies every week. They might do some tournaments every now and then. So the question might be, we've gone too far the other way with that as well. There's not enough competition.
Right, which that bite, that hunger you talked about.
Exactly. So you need that. For example, we played, clubs from when I was involved in Chelsea and Tottenham for 10 years, we'd go abroad and play the European clubs. They were much better at the game management because they play a lot more tournaments. They play more competitive football. So we said, right, we need to maybe do more of that. Because I think when I first went in, clubs, it was like in English, we just got to win at all costs, and they just kicked the ball in upfield, very territorial, and it wasn't really about technical individual development. Right. But you'd need a balance, I think. It's really important.
Okay. I know it's a cool thing. I just think we lose a lot of the opportunity of the development now. Like the individual, but also I don't know if hockey's a little bit more as a team. Like it's more jumping into positions. You have to be there. But I still think football's the same way. I've coached a couple kids that have played at a young age, and they come in at a U9, U10, U11, and they're able to distribute and go.
Right.
Jump and give.
Yeah.
And jump into spots, right? And your one-on-one skill is great, but you still, even if a guy beats a guy one-on-one, he's still going to distribute it, and that guy has to be there.
Yeah, I think, same as what we all saw. It's got to be an end product.
Yeah.
And it's not like you go and beat 7 players and then go and score.
Yeah.
It's just because I was watching the hockey game last night. I've watched some of the Leafs and been to the Oilers, and I watched Connor David and the way he moves,
Yeah.
And that's what I was interested in. I was trying to relate the 1v1 work with that because I was watching last night. There's a lot of spinning away, opposite movements, stuff,
feel
1v1
pressure
movement.
But
then it's really difficult to skate past someone, I suppose, isn't it? That's a difficult skill, I imagine.
With a guy like him, he gets boxed out, right?
Yeah.
Unless on a pitch, you can. There's a lot more room, but you send one, you send two, right?
Yeah.
He's going to be able to distribute. And I think it's the same. I think it's the same when you get into those tight spots. Like you watch Messi. I mean, Messi bounce around like.
Oh, you talk about players being unpredictable. That's the thing. If you suck 2 players in, you pass forward, and then then you've beaten that.
Yeah, look, I think I remember the best was watching. I want to say the Barcelona teams of who's the coach now. He's in England. Pep Guardiola. Yeah, and like the other team wouldn't touch the ball.
Yeah,
they wouldn't touch the ball. It was unbelievable. It's like watching.
It was a bit like a power play or something.
Yeah, all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, Cotton's power play where they've got the same amount of players.
It was like watching It's like watching Sweden play. Like, and they'll just hold on to it. It's like, okay, well, we'll just go back.
Well, style of play is interesting too, I suppose, right?
It has to be devastating to play against it because you're just running and chasing, and you haven't touched the ball for like I don't know,
pretty frustrating.
Yeah, and you got to be frustrated, and you're probably gassed.
That's because like identity or style of play is interesting too. I imagine that's the case, right? Like European, is there certain centers that play a certain style of play?
Yeah, clubs have their DNA. Barcelona associates playing a certain way, and but that changes, evolves and stuff like that. But it's I think it's very rare in a club. Football's changing even now. Like you talked about the Guardiola method. That tiki-taka Spanish style plays the team's a bit more direct now. They're playing it forward a bit quicker.
Right.
Generally, that's Guardiola's ironically under a bit of pressure. He's built a team, so I think the game's always evolving. Well, it is always evolving.
It is always evolving. But there's also guys like you that have come in now that if you're gonna make individuals better, which in turn, if you get individually better, your team's gonna get better.
Yeah. Well, that's the idea. I mentioned like in terms of the hockey stuff you do. How much time do you spend in terms of that? And when you're breaking up a player's training clock, how much time do you spend on shooting, passing, or skating or dribbling?
That's the hard part. Like that's what the summer's about. Unfortunately, we've had this conversation a lot, and what you're explaining right now is the European model of what happens in hockey in Europe. Right. It's like they'll come in, they don't play. I've told them this. They'll put 20, 25 kids on a team, and maybe one weekend your kid will play in the tournament and the other weekend the other kid won't. And so that's their competition base, which they lack a little bit. But everybody gets touches, everybody gets a lot of chances.
So more development
throughout
the week.
Right.
Whereas less games, more
Right. Okay. More practice.
We care about winning here, right? Like
right.
Probably too young of a level. So like you have a defenseman out there, and instead of saying like hold on to the puck, take a second with it, make a good play, it's like just put it off the glass.
Yeah.
It's like okay, well if
that
all
territorial thing, right?
If all he does is boot it up there, like he's not getting better.
Well, that's the question we'd have with English, because English football used to be get the ball and kick it as far as you can.
Just put your head down.
That was actually the philosophy. Just get it and kick it there hard as far as you can. And we said, well, it's in the air so much, players aren't getting time on the ball.
Right.
So that's it's interesting, isn't it?
It's a fine line. It's a hard thing to do. Like you lose that competitiveness to win, but I think players are always going to want to win. If they're an athlete, they're doing something they're going to want to. But I just think there's too much built on the outcome, and then kids get nervous and they don't try stuff.
All right. That's the key.
And that's the key. And then if you're not successful, then you get changed and you're not on that team anymore, or you're not with your buddies or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
It's very hard
and then,
for them to develop.
When did the app come in? Like how long have you been?
It's about 10 years now.
Okay.
So basically, when I was at Tottenham, a big part of the work was setting players' homework. And, and it was obviously right, try this skill. And then I did at Tottenham, actually I made like a DVD with Chris Ramsey, my old mentor, and sort of give to players and coaches. And I thought, this is something, which is needed. So I created the app, which has started off as like a player and parent, go on there, you can download technical training courses, there's a virtual academy and that sort of thing. And then it grew into coach education. And now it's like a club B2B sort of offering as well. Where, players get it, all the players get the technical training out, the coaches get the online resource, you can log in the back end, check the usage. And there's clubs in Canada using it, in North America and Arsenal used to use it, Blackburn use it in their academies for pro clubs and grassroots clubs. So there's lots there, but it's real like a one-stop shop for player coach development, really.
I could see how we would be desperate over here. Like we just don't have that rich history and tradition for sure. Right?
Yeah, I think it's that culture, isn't it? It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like Toronto's a hockey mad city and England's a football mad country. So that's always number one, isn't it? So you'd be struggling to find any space in that market.
Well, we were talking just briefly before you popped in here, Gards, just about like, you ran a couple of camps this week. You got a couple more coming up. Like, how's the level of player? And it's like you were saying, some good individuals, but we have no depth comparatively, right?
Yeah.
So,
And what's good about here, it's a bit like London. It's such a multicultural mix. Mm-hmm. You've got a lot of cultures which are football mad cultures coming in, right? So there are some first or second generation kids coming up who love the game.
Right.
But yes, we'll see some great players here, but like I say, maybe not the strength and depth of would probably get in a European country,
Yeah.
Well,
but it's moving, there's more and more kids playing here.
For sure. We had Brett Perlini, so his father Fred played, I think maybe 1 year with the Leafs. He's English, went and played hockey over there, and they would come every summer to see their grandparents. And so Brett and Bubsy, Brendan played in the National League, in the NHL, Brett played in Europe, and they wanted to sign them up for football when they were here. And obviously they're used to playing back home, and they come over.
Yeah.
And I remember the very first game, Brett's playing with us, and I touched the ball at center, and then he just puts it in the back of the net, off the kickoff. And the goalie just couldn't move. It was a completely different animal. He's been playing full pitch, we're playing half pitch, cross.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they're worlds apart here. Worlds apart.
Yeah.
Not even the same.
I mean, we see in the mornings when we go to lacrosse practice with the kids, you see the old guys come out. And they practice in the dome, and they got the ref in the white shirt, and then they're going at it, and it's like men's league, but it's on another level. It's the intensity, and they're running around. They're
the old Euros, the old Euros,
and I'm amazed at it. My biggest thing is I remember we played against I think Lugano had their FC club was might have been first division or second.
Yeah, no, Lugano.
Yeah. And so we went out the hockey team we played in, and I wasn't going to run around, and I'm no good. So I said, I'll go sit in net, no problem. So I go in net, and everybody's small. The ballers are small.
Yeah.
They don't realize how they're not big people, right? Upper body, they're just, but they can run. Because we're trying to put their jerseys on. We couldn't even get it over our thing. But I'm standing there, and the guy's he's pretty far. He's probably 15, 20 yards away. And he goes to kick it. I'm like, oh, I got this, no problem. Oh, my God. I almost broke my wrist. This thing came at me, and I was like, it was like a goaltender in hockey. I was like, oh, I don't want to be here. This thing's going to hurt. It's coming quick. And just the amount, and then left foot, right foot. It's very... I can see if you trained it, how good of an athlete you can become, because you have body control with a ball, and you have to use both feet. You have to be able to spin, turn. I mean, I think it's incredible. I wish I would have done more of it. It's just...
I think a lot of my work is based around ball mastery, so technical work. And like I said, a lot of people don't understand really the benefits, like you mentioned it there. Like, it's not just about the technical development, it's about the movement development, being agile, being able to move both ways, left foot, right foot, turning, moving, exploding, being dynamic, and that's my philosophy. It's called dynamic ball mastery, to try and get players to be, squeeze a little bit more, be a bit more exposed, a bit more dynamic, because that's the game, particularly at the highest level, being super quick on the ball, being sharp, being able to turn and, break pressure and break lines.
Is it like, we talk a little bit about sometimes for these kids, it's like, okay, I don't need the puck on my stick the whole time, right? I can spot it to a space, right? If I know I'm going to get stopped, let's spot it somewhere so I can go get it again.
Yeah.
Is that like, so there's got to be two ways to train it, right? Because in football, if I know I'm faster than him, if I spot it somewhere and I get him spun around and I can attack his heels, I can go get it. But there's also times when you need to keep it on your feet.
Yeah.
And that's the, the turning, the spinning, the controlling.
I think, it's a combination. A lot of stuff I do is about, turning to then explode out. So encouraging players to really challenge themselves in terms of that first 2-3 yards. So I might not be the natural athlete, but I've got to, we say to players, you want to be able to run as fast as you can with the ball as you can without the ball. Just first be able to turn, so balance a little bit, to unbalance the defender, but then it's drive out, explode, and keep a safe side sort of doing it. But most coaches don't coach those 1, 2, 3 movements, steps after you've had an action. But it's almost just pass the ball. So it's drive and then pass the ball, because that's the thing.
Right.
The challenge.
Then you might draw somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And players aren't used to moving at speed with the ball. And it's the same like hockey, I imagine. Like, do anything at full speed is so much more difficult.
Well, that's why Connor's the best.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he goes
same. There's no difference.
Speed.
There's no difference.
Yeah. Without the puck, but also his hands. And I guess you could say people's feet, they move, his hands move as fast as his brain has.
I watched him at the Oilers a couple of years ago, and just the way he moved, I thought that's interesting, because he would go past players, and you don't see many ice hockey players do that in other games, does it? Who can actually get beyond a player because he's so quick and moves so.
And then the other guys that are good, maybe they know how to get to the spots, and they're physically dominant. I think it's a great sport.
What's the off-ball training like, fitness? Like, you've been working out the last 3 days. You've been getting after it. I was impressed. You got on the bench, popped the 60s up right away. I'm like, all right, let's go.
No,
What's that culture like?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a big part of the game.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, typically in Premier League level, so you'll have for the S&C guys, they'll have a big impact. They watch their loading and stuff. And probably that's a lot. Maybe people don't like what I do because I'm out of that loading monitoring, but more I have to be aware of it.
Yep.
But listen, the best players in the world have always done more. And I think maybe there's an argument. Some players say they're too protected and cotton wool. They're not allowed to train enough, which they would like to train.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a balancing act. These guys, multi-million-pound commodities in the end of the day, so you've got to be careful. But I mean, it's you can't tell Ronaldo or Messi, come inside. They'll be outside working hard and doing extras.
Yeah, we joke around here sometimes, like, we're just going to turn science off today.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's just a work day. Like, we're just going to turn science off.
Yeah.
Don't worry about how many touches you get.
Yeah.
Let's just go to work for today.
Yeah.
And it's definitely it's a huge balancing act. I think we don't have enough of it integrated at our younger levels. That's one of the things we've noticed. Like, we've got so much skill development work going on, but then they've got great skill, but they don't have the physical ability. So it's like, you want to explode in this position, but you're just not strong enough. What I mean?
What's the relationship in terms of like skating at speed? Is that linked to the biomechanics of your body or anything, or is it just a technique, or is it is it like not like related to your quick fiber muscles or anything?
All three. Yeah, like if you look at they've got some like really good longitudinal studies looking at like increases in strength gains and then increase in skating speed, because it's high friction, right? Like your blades stay on the ice the whole time.
Yeah.
So strength really matters.
Right.
Whereas sprinting, you could get away with like a more elastic strategy. You could just use your tendons and ligaments, and you can be really springy and explosive as opposed to laboring. You have to get stronger if you're faster on the ice.
So if you like start because when you're running without, you can only get this. You've probably got a smaller in terms of capability of getting quicker in terms of your biomechanics. So when you're skating, can you make those big gains no matter what? Is there like lots of room to?
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of room. I mean, obviously we've got genetic potentials that we're going to top out at like anything else. Like, you could only get so fast, but we'll see players come in. We'll track it. We'll have like stationary and rolling start times. We'll get a good quality off season. We'll see them shave like tenths of a second off, which is gigantic, right? Like pro sports at the end of the day are like
martial gains, certainly
instantaneous. Well, that's the thing you were just talking about. It's like you teach a guy who plays at the top level to move his hips one way, and he brings that in and executes on it. Well, that's like that's several million pounds.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
how much of it is there from one, say we'll talk top athlete, where it's like, okay, I want to do what he's doing, or they watch each other and they're like, okay, that skill is something that, like, is there a lot of that? Like
Copycat almost?
Yeah, copycat.
I think, or maybe like learning vicariously. I mean, some players would be say, "Oh yeah, let's think about that sort of finish," and they'll maybe reference another player's name. I had one player work with, I won't say his name. He's one of a big club, but he'd talk about, I want to do the Harry Kane finish. Who Harry Kane's a striker, plays for England and Bayern. This young guy, he's a guy's big player, plays in the Premier League, and people that maybe don't know I've coached him. He'd whip it and he'd replicate. And I thought that's really interesting actually, because that's how kids learn as well. Like, watching that's a skill. And no, let's try that. And we're having that variation. I thought even him, a high profile player, was still mimicking one of his colleagues really. And he's not massively below him. So it's really interesting. But yeah, I mean, listen, you do see that. Like I say, there'll be certain patterns, certain finishes. We'll talk about what certain players do, because we might look for different solutions. Say, for example, you see something in a game and say, well, that might have been able to go better. Well, let's look at this. This player X does it this way. This might be another opportunity. And we talk then about, different angles, different lines, body shape, that sort of thing.
So do you think, I think with anything, but I would agree, do you think it's the hardest thing to do in football, score?
Oh, yeah. Scoring goals is very difficult.
So there's guys that just have it. Also, right?
It's the hardest thing, creating and scoring goals, and then obviously stopping goals, all those things. But yeah, I mean, if you can, that's why those guys are
like big money. Like the big guy with the ponytail,
Ibra Zatlan.
No, Holland.
Oh, Haaland.
Like, now is there a case where you can be physically bigger and stronger and just dominate in the sport because of that, or is he still has this?
No, he's got unbelievable finishing ability, because you got other massive big units who are really quick, who just don't have the technique. So you need the technique as well, and he has this unbelievable eye for goal.
So he knows to get to the spot.
Yeah, and it's almost those same as the other guys I work with, Noni, Madueke and Anto Semenyo. Again, these guys have come together, and like Haaland, they have the perfect mix of unbelievable athleticism, but it's technique, but most importantly speed, but speed with the ball. That's the difference. So you bring those things together, that's like, that's the perfect total package.
Yeah,
that's the highest level.
Ibrahimovic, I remember watching him.
Well, that's what I mean. A big guy, but can run.
Unreal.
Has the mentality. Yeah, so that's so if you have that's why the talent ID stuff is based around speed. Yeah, based around speed. Because if the modern game, particularly now, is so much based around athleticism and speed. It's difficult if you haven't got that.
So, but then back to your point about letting them do more, they have to if they want to get to that extent, right?
I mean,
a little bit. I know there's such load management. It's like the case of some of these academies. I mean, in Milan, you'd have one coach for each player. Like, you had a trainer, a masseuse, so everybody did everything. Like, I get what you're saying about being very, we can get into the diving and the red cards and the rolling around.
Yeah.
And like, that's the stuff that we kind of, people kind of criticize for the sport, but like the athleticism and the pounding that they take, right? And the coolest thing I've ever seen is like a guy plays on a real pitch and then on the fake grass, and they know the difference. They hate it.
Oh, they hate Astro. All the clients they work, they won't. Yeah.
They hate it.
They're like, when would they play an Astro though? When they're here? Like, if they're like traveling?
That's the thing. They won't.
Had it.
So they won't. Within their clubs, they play everything on grass. Yeah. That's when they come to me. There's not that. There's, not very many grass pitches in England.
Okay.
Shout to Bishop Abbey. There's one there we use now. I found one. But if we travel abroad, we always want to play grass because they don't like it, not used to it. And there's more injuries come from it. They feel tougher. It's harder. Yeah. They always want to play in grass. Different. So it is like a different game.
It's hard to get pitches to train on.
Yeah, in England, because just goes the quality you want. You might have a good quality maintained grass pitch or hybrid pitch. There's not those many around to get onto. Funny.
We would think, like, ignorantly, we would think there's tons because the sport's so popular, but the quality.
There's tons of grass pitches, but they're mostly not very. They're very. By the time it gets into the winter, it gets cold, it's muddy, there's no grass there, or it's all bobbly. It's not something you want to elite player.
Don't they, in England for a bit?
Just in the summer, mate. There's like 6 weeks.
There's no winter break. I thought there was.
Not in England's one of the only countries that doesn't have a winter break.
Oh, okay.
So most European countries have a European a couple of weeks off. England, unfortunately, doesn't.
Well, it's no different. It's no different than the guys with ice. Bad ice. Like, bad ice could, like, it's an injury waiting to happen. Yeah. Imagine it's the same, right? Like,
soft or fast.
Yeah. So, that's amazing.
It's so cool. Who's the best player right now for you?
The best player in the world? Oh, it's difficult. There's some little guys at PSG, technical players. There's loads of good players. I mean, Modric was one of my favourite players. He's just sort of retired now. I liked him because he was a little guy, but just so strong, robust, and battled, technically unbelievable. Yeah. That's Modric, like a what's like a superstar. But it's like
Ronaldo just scored his 1,000th goal or something like that the other day.
And that's crazy. He's still going.
Crazy. Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that, like, look at
good preparation.
You look at his physical attributes and his, like, work ethic and stuff like that. But. Yeah, no, it's amazing. I mean, I think it's a great sport. I think we've talked about this. We're so into like you have to be specialized at such a young age, which is sad because like even a good footballer hero, they'll be like, okay, now it's time you make that decision. And don't make a kid choose. Let him run.
Play a few other things.
Let him play a few things. Same with baseball. Same. It's
when a player comes to you, like these big pros come in there. What if you're going to do an individual session? What does that look like?
An individual session? Well, I think right now we'd break it down to the same thing you're kind of doing is like, what is he good at? Where does he spend most of the time trying to score goals? Like, I think when you get to that level, they all skate well, they all shoot well, they all have the skills to touch. So it's just how can you differentiate yourself? I think the brain's the biggest one a lot.
Right.
What we've seen in the past, a little while, it's like just the smarts about it, how to get into spots. It's very hard though because like what Adrian said before, coaching has now become such a thing about winning. So like, is this to play to win or is this to play to make me better where I can maybe attack a guy a while?
Yeah. Zach Hyman is a good example, right? Like Zach Hyman, obviously, like, he, the summer before he scored 50, he spent the whole summer inside of 8 feet of the net because that's how he scores goals. And there's 30 players that have played with Connor McDavid and Leon who couldn't score 50 goals because they just weren't effective enough.
Yeah.
So it's like,
that was the crazy summer. He came to me and he said, look, here's where I'm going to be. This is what's going to happen on the power play. This is where they want me to do. And I remember talking to him. He's like, if I miss 2 or 3 empty net ones, he's like, they're going to kick me off.
Right.
It's like, so every day for 20 minutes or 15 minutes after every practice, I would literally sit on the wall and slap pucks at him, and he would just tip them into the empty nets.
So you're driving pucks in. He's got to finish
driving
it.
pucks into his off his foot, stopping it on his backhand, stopping it, getting it upstairs. And then the next year, and people say, oh, he plays the greatest play in the world. I would have scored 50. No, you wouldn't have, because nobody saw what he did before.
Right.
Like I had that huge conversation with everybody. And I'm not saying that anybody could have done that with him. Because he wanted to do that. We helped facilitate that. But he scored 50 goals. And it's a perfect correlation to
from
that.
Right.
He scored like 4 goals outside that whole thing.
Wow.
50 goals.
That's
crazy. 36 goals were from that area.
Red zone.
That's all he practiced. Now, there's also other things like your skating has to be good. You got to be defensively on the right side of pucks, like you say. Your defensive skill has to be good. So I think it's how you can differentiate yourself, how you can, how can you get into those situations where you're going to have the opportunities to score.
But that's what's good, isn't it? That's interesting because you've literally broken down the game. This is going to be the game-changing moment.
Yeah, you can see,
and then you repeat it until you can't get it wrong.
You're doing too, right?
Yeah, but that's what I'm doing. But then if you're at the coaching, all the coaching education saying don't do that, which is bonkers. Avoid that. No, just put them in the game. Let them create. Don't do anything isolated or within that. And it's crazy.
The one-on-one is not as prevalent as it is in football, but I think there still is that if you can physically get a step on a guy or beat a guy just to get yourself that extra inch to have somebody else draw over that you can find.
Yeah,
that's why Connor's the greatest because he scares kids. So then we put 2 guys on him. Well, now there's somebody's open somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And can that open guy, can Zach get to that spot?
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's I really like the video stuff. I think it brings everybody together, and I think it's a really cool thing, and it's something that we've talked about. And
what would you do then if you play out? So I'm interested in too. So if you have a young player come in and say, right, go home and practice. What are they practicing?
I was just going to say that's the hard part, right?
Right.
You can, here's your ball and your shoes and you go in your backyard.
Yeah.
Right? Literally, I could take your act and I can go in the backyard.
Yeah.
Can we do that? Yeah. Well, we can go in the backyard and you can shoot 1,000 pucks.
Exactly.
I can get somebody to pass it to me on my back end, but I'm still not standing on my skates, right?
Exactly.
But now I have to come, and this is where the price starts to change.
Right.
I have to come and rent ice that's going to cost me X amount. Like, do you get charged to rent pitches in England?
Yeah, I mean, it's it, but there's more because there's lots of little football pitches people can track. We can walk on the kids. Those places in the city, small little 5v5 pitches. They're everywhere.
And so when we grew up, we had the open air rinks that you see now that are popping up.
Yeah,
weather dictates that a lot now too, and kids don't know how to do it. It's been so in like you say, get away from the individual stuff. Like I think to learn the little things, you got to go do those things. And now it's like, okay, I'm going to come work with you, and that's all I'm going to get. It's going to cost me a lot, but that's what I think I have to do. I can't go out and train myself to.
Because that's what I was thinking actually last night when I was watching the under 10s hockey game. But I was thinking imagine if someone had a hockey pitch in their back garden or access to it, what an advantage that would be, right? Having the hours.
100%.
Because my mum's Swedish, so we used to go to Sweden a lot and mess around, but never any good. But there used to be a local open air hockey pitch there, and the boys just on there all night, all day. I thought, wow, imagine those hours they're getting the advantage of they're having over if you just having come 1 or 2 hours.
We had a kid, the people moved in across the street, and I know we're getting long wrong here, but his kid couldn't skate.
Right.
And my boys would go out there, and the kids in the neighborhood, and after 2 months of last year, he skates now.
Wow.
And the dad didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Just get up, chase the kids around.
Well, there's Minnesota. There's this little town in Minnesota that's got like a disproportionate number of NHL players.
Right.
And the reason I believe is because their community rinks open all the time.
There you go.
So they pay, like if it doesn't have programmed ice, it's open for kids. They subsidize. There's no cost. Get your skates on, go out and play. So the kids get access all the time. Yeah. Small community, you can do that.
I mean, because what I do, listen, I say to everybody, if you're coming to me once a week or twice a week and you're not doing anything else, there's no point. You're wasting your time. It's got to be driven by the player, and then I'm just supplementing that. Your team training is supplementing what you're doing by yourself and working away, and you got to be work.
It's hockey's doesn't have that capability yet. I don't think to rent a sheet for $400 and go out there on your own. Yeah. Right. It's hard. It's hard, and you're bang on. Like Gagne, Tavares, they had a backyard rink, and I talked to the guy that coached them. They would leave practice, they would grab something to eat, and then they go on the backyard rink.
Just mess around,
mess around. Yeah. And there's and we don't do that. There's too much though. Do you find that with kids now? There's too much.
I think we talk about that because even in England, I grew up, be out playing every day, 2-3 hours in the street. People don't do that anymore. There's a death of street football because of people worried about certain things. Are fair enough. Kids are really protected these days, so they go out with their friends.
Road hockey. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So then I always talk about how do we're trying to replicate the outcomes. You can't replicate street football because we don't have 2 or 3 hours a day, but trying to replicate the outcomes. That's what my personal football coach is about. Have like 20 or 30 minutes solid session. We're going to get the movement to the touch outcomes you would have playing 2-3 hours in the street, basically. So that's the idea. But yeah, I mean, I'd much rather kids be playing out in the street and guided. But then even that, there's still a role for the coach to come in and say, right, I'm going to stretch you now. I'm going to challenge you.
Yeah. And I think that, but I also think kids have so much now on their, like,
they're programmed.
Yeah, they're programmed, but also there's other distractions. Yeah. I'll just put it that way. There's a lot of distractions. So those kids that are sort of very focused and want to make it, they'll make it because they're going to put the time in.
Yeah.
We're getting long, so I got 2 questions to wrap up. The last one's going to be where can people find out more, obviously, but the one before that, because I think this is somewhat synonymous. If you were to give advice to a family, got a young kid coming up on the requirement to get to the next level, and it is universal across the board, what would it be?
I think this is just the best do more cliche. Make sure you're working hard, work as hard as you can, basically. So as a player, are you outside training or are you inside playing the PlayStation? Then you first got to understand, you got to make the choice. If you're really serious about this, that's going to be the first differentiator. If you're a parent, it's difficult, particularly in this environment. Got to try and find the most challenging environment for your child. Can you find the best team in the best league, and maybe they got to play up. But then support them with I think you need some sort of a system, if you like, and that's why my personal football coach comes in. A system he can help your child train effectively, if you like, and we'll try and push them on. But it's difficult because there's no one way to do things. There's nothing written in stone saying if you do this you're going to be successful. But you just got to try and I say as well, be supportive. Don't be overcritical. Understand their children. Let them play and stuff like that. But there's ways you can guide them and understand them. Say, look. You talk about being a pro, but you're upstairs playing, John Madden or whatever on your PS5, or you want to go outside and do 20 minutes practice if you're serious and stuff like that. And sometimes you need to lead them like that. Not all players have that innate sort of, association with hard work.
Awesome. Okay, where can people find out more?
Find out me. You can download my app, My Personal Football Coach, or if you're a coach, go to mypersonalfootballcoach.com, and you can find me on Instagram, MyFootballCoach1, MyFootballCoach on X and YouTube and all those sorts of things.
There we go. Thanks for coming on today. We appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Amazing.
Oh, okay. Enjoy the rest of your time here.
Cheers, man.
You need to go visit.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.